Hello again, everyone. First Fridays with Ambassador Terry and friends, and my guest, Steena Marie. Welcome, Steena Marie. This is quite a treat for me.
Thanks so much for having me, Terry.
I am excited to have you. We're going to talk about customer service and the psychology of sales, ladies and gentlemen. That's quite an issue. So it takes more than a 5 minute what are you doing interview, that's for sure. So, yeah, you have a great thing that we put in the description today about walking into a restaurant and the first thing out of the host or hostess's mouth is, "Do you have a reservation?" And you feel like, "Ooh,
hmm
do I get something in my teeth? You want to disqualify me and throw me out of your establishment? Or are you ready to take my money, turd?" And it's really true. Steena Marie, welcome. What's your thoughts on coming into a restaurant and having them give you the third degree?
Yeah, the immediate feeling is I don't belong here. Even if I have a reservation, it's a very cold greeting to human. That's not how I would ever greet anyone, is with interrogation, is what it feels like. And the first thing that matters is that there's a customer that just walked through your door. The reservation is secondary. And even there's so many other ways to invite conversation, right? Dining for two this evening. And then when I say yes, okay, do you have a reservation or are we just a walk in? Like, you can make it so much more warm and inviting for the person that just came in. And that's just the first impression that then colors the rest of your experience at the restaurant.
Yeah, how about a simple welcome? Welcome to blah, blah, blah restaurant.
hmm
I'm glad you're here.
hmm
Is this an open table? Are you joining someone or do we have a reservation this evening?
Yeah.
I'm all over that. Oh,
Right.
let me give you a hug. Okay. There's something to be said about that instead of a mechanical response. And that's not to say that the host is having one of the worst days in their life. Maybe it's not the best day. If they're having a worst day of their life, maybe it's not the best day to be standing behind the podium. Or do you just take a breath, host or hostess, and go, okay, let's welcome these people into our place. All right. After all, their money pays me. I probably ought to do something nice. Um, that's only part of it. That's a restaurant. You know,
hmm
um, Another thing that really bothers me is I'll walk into a store. Really, not really shopping for anything. I just want to see what the store's got to put in my hand because I can't walk out of there without it. But I might not have anything in particular. And you get somebody who walks right up in your face and says, "Hi, what can I show you? What can I get for you? My name's Terry. What can I get for you? What are you here to buy?" It's like, back up, dude, back up.
hmm
Or they follow you around like they expect you to put something in your pocket. Um, that's not customer service. Okay, customer is the person to come in with the money that's going to spend their money there and pay you eventually. Service is to take care of that customer so they want to spend money and come back again.
hmm
Customer service, not customer attack. I've got a sale today, big deal. That person probably will never come back. Otherwise, you go, I just sold the beautiful coat up in the front window to this lady, and she wore it out. She was so happy to have it. We got along. We have similar age children, and da 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 da. Created a relationship. So when that lady comes back into that store, and she will, she's looking for the person that was so sweet to her the last time. That,
hmm
my friends, is customer service.
hmm
Do anything you can to make it right and just treat people like people,
hmm
humans. Big deal being a human. Okay. Your thoughts, Steena?
Yeah, that brought me back to being in Trader Joe's shopping. Um, Whenever you go through the checkout at Trader Joe's, the cashier will not just say, "Did you find everything okay today?" But they'll usually make a comment on something that you've bought. So they'll say, "Oh my gosh, have you tried these before?" Or, "Oh, my girlfriend loves these. What do you put this in?" I've even had somebody say, "Goat milk, what do you do with this?" And they engage you in like a very authentic conversation about what you're buying. And they're very lighthearted, it's very upbeat. It's this moment for me of real connection and presence to be like, we're here. This is what's happening is we're going grocery shopping. So like let's enjoy it together. How
Mhm.
can we have a great experience in this moment together? And yesterday when I went and they asked me, if I had found everything okay, that was his first question. I kind of hesitated and I said, "Yes." And he goes, "That was a pretty hesitant yes." And I said, "Well, I came in without a list. So I'm not sure. When I get home, then I'll know if I found everything I needed today." And there was just a little bit of banter. And I love that. And one of my kids pointed out they ask the same questions every time to everybody. And it took me a second to even realize that they did, that they were asking kind of the same questions. And I thought, but I don't care. It's never
Mhm.
occurred to me because the person asking the questions is actually engaged with me, and
Mhm.
they give you this feedback that's real about what they're seeing you buy, so they're paying attention to me as the customer in that moment. So I love having those experiences where you really do feel that customer service piece, because thinking about groceries, it's something you got to go buy, you know
Yeah.
and it's now for me, though, when I think about going to Trader Joe's, I think of it as an experience and not just in and out and got to get my groceries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was in the rag business, ladies and gentlemen. I sold men's and women's custom clothes. We called it the rag business. And, when I would see somebody wearing a killer pair of shoes, I would tell them, I didn't care if it was a man or a woman, I love those shoes. Oh, do you look good in those shoes? Or that outfit or whatever. That was not a come on. That was coming from my heart. You look hot. That is perfect on you, right? And the woman could be as broad as my chair, but it doesn't matter because she can wear it, you know. And when people would do that to me, as you know, we've spent some time together, and I do like shoes. If somebody says, "Excuse me, I love those shoes," we're friends until they prove otherwise. Okay, because they acknowledge something that I enjoy.
Hmm.
And it makes me a person, and it makes them a person. And it doesn't matter at first. It doesn't matter if they're even affiliated to the store. It could be another customer. I do it all the time. I'm with my wife in a store. We're in a clothing store or something like that. And I'll see a man or a woman dressed to the nines. I mean, very, very nice and perfectly done for them. I'll tell them. I used to sell men's and women's custom clothes. And I got to tell you, you look great in that. Man, that makes their week.
Hmm.
They could be having a bad day or whatever, but there's a human connection.
Hmm.
The customer is a human. It's the human experience, the human connection. And an upset customer used to come into my store, on it not very often in my stores, but if they did, first thing was to calm them down, understand, empathize. Oh my God, I bet this is embarrassing for you. Tell me more so I can help with this. You know,
Hmm.
engage me more, pissed off customer, because I really care that I might be able to solve this for you, and do it in such a way that you're probably going to like me. Number one, and number two, If it's a female coming into one of my men's shop, for instance, she might send her husband or her brother or all of her sons in to get their graduation suits and only see me. So it pays dividends. But the initial reason was if I came into a store and I was upset about something I bought or something was wrong with what I connected with and purchased, I want somebody to understand me. I want somebody to understand my frustration. This was not good. And I need it fixed. And I may not even know how I want it fixed when I walk in the door. It's not a guarantee that I just want my money back. It's there's more to it than that. And what do you think about that?
That brought me back to just the nature of business is that our job is to help the customer meet their needs in whatever way that is, no matter if it's a service or a product, and that without the customer, there is no business. And so, in developing a business, you do market research and you figure out what is that need and what is the result that I want people to get from this product or service. But even when you're in the process, like you said, the customer doesn't always know in that very moment what they need. I recently had a screw in one of my tires and I took it in to get repaired. It couldn't be repaired, unfortunately. And then they're like, well, you can replace that tire or you can replace both back tires. And I felt like I need you to tell me what I should be doing here, right? Because I don't really know.
Mhm.
And the guy said if it were me, I would do both because that'll keep your car balanced out in the wearing correctly. He said, but it's your car and you're free to do, whatever you want to do. It's your vehicle. So, he took the pressure off, but he also let me know, here's what I would do. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about customer service, ladies and gentlemen. Even the utilities, the front desk of a utility place, yeah, you have to have them. But that
mhm,
doesn't mean that they get to treat you bad, right?
mhm,
There's been times over the last 3 or 4 years where I've went into various government services or utility offices or something like that, and that person at customer service treated me like I was a king, right? And anything they could do for me, they were just happy that I came in so that they could help me. Think about that. Am
mm,
I a regular customer there? Well, I probably am anyway. Like if it's Spectrum and I need something for my internet, yeah, that's probably going to be it. But that's not a guarantee anymore either. There are other internet services. You know, yes, is it Duke Energy? I need electricity. That's a non negotiable item. But that doesn't mean that I spend every time I turn the light on, I cuss because of how bad I was treated the last time I interacted with somebody, right?
mhm,
Or when somebody comes in and does a repair and they're all over about the repair, they're going to get that done, but they want to also make me, their customer, feel good that they came, they were friendly, they were clean, their shoes were clean and stuff, they didn't trash up my place, and they genuinely listened to my concerns. That's customer service. Those are people who are happy to go to work every day
mhm.
and they're glad to have a job and a lot of times, and so that's all is just as important. Steena.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town where everybody knew everybody. So when it comes to customer service or business, everybody knows what your reputation is. And today we see that in Google reviews, right? Now we know if people had a bad experience somewhere because it's going to be all over the Google reviews. And so it takes a little bit of creativity and more proactiveness on business parts to create an environment where customers feel that they can speak up, that they can advocate, that they can let you really know what they need or what's not working. And that requires you to, you know, you have to be responsive. If you're responsive to your customers and you're really listening, then they're going to tell you before they go tell Google. And it's all over the internet on your Google reviews.
Mhm.
And so I think it's really interesting when somebody has negative Google reviews and they're trying to kind of argue with them or, discuss them or come back to them. And I think we wouldn't be having this conversation on Google if you were creating a customer experience where I felt like I could let you know what's not going well for me. Um, and I back to the tire place. I had an experience where they were supposed to call me and let me know that tires came in, and 3 days later, I still hadn't heard anything from them. So then I had to call them, and I was not too happy that they hadn't followed up on my tires. And so when I went in to pick up the tires, they were, apologizing, but not really taking responsibility. There wasn't any real compensation for the inconvenience. And so uh, I said, well, how would you like to apologize? And they just repeat, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was still holding my keys to my vehicle at this point. And the woman says, it kind of motions to get my keys. And I say, well, what can you do for my inconvenience? And she, oh, yes, of course, and she ended up giving me quite a nice discount on my tires. I was very happy because it wasn't a battle. I was very direct about what I wasn't happy that they hadn't let me know these were in. And they're very swift to offer something that I felt was fair compensation for them not following through. And so, even if somebody has what is at first a negative experience, you always should have an opportunity to repair and also learn from that experience. Because in this case, somebody could have used an SOP.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Things happen. That's just the way it is. I don't care what business it is, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And people really don't care uh, about you as a customer service person until they know and understand that you, customer service person, really care about me,
Mm-hmm.
customer, and helping me have a good experience so that if nothing else, I have a good day. Okay. It's how would you like, number one, if you take a job as a customer service person, you better like people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're introverted and you don't really like people, you don't really like to talk to them, you're going to have a bad time, and your company is going to take the hit over and over and over again. Take a different job. Yeah, sometimes that's awful hard. If you cannot take another job, Mr. and Mrs. Customer Service person, change your ways. Change your
Mm-hmm.
ways. Nobody wants to be treated bad. You don't want to be treated bad when you walk in to get something fixed for yourself. So don't treat other people that way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to wrap this up. This is the first Fridays with Ambassador Terry and friends and my dear colleague and guest, Steena Marie. This was terrific. Good stuff. Good stuff. And I think it's a very important topic at this point of the United States' year, because there's a lot of polarization going on in the general public and government and lots of other things. I stay out of the political realm when I'm in front of a microphone. But when the mic's off, I seem to talk a lot. And thanks for coming. I really appreciate you doing this with me because you are an example of customer service. You can connect to somebody on a personal and human level instantly. You have that in you. And for some people, they don't understand that. But guess what, people? We're all born with love in our heart, not hate, not all the stuff that we learn from the people around us as we grow up. No matter what, you started out with love in your heart because that's the only thing that was there. And you learned everything else. This lady, wow, She never learned anything else. She kept the love in her heart. And
Mm.
and I appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you for listening to us. Leave some comments. We'll watch from here for a while and see how it goes. And thanks again for coming. Bye for now.